Kevin Jones, and that's Gerard Fabiano.
I'm currently registering because here's the deal. When you go into a Magic tournament, and this is right before we're going to start, you don't want to go to a Magic tournament and then find out that it capped out. So I know Jake did coverage at Grand Prix Hartford about 2 weeks ago, and what happened was that, Jake, you did coverage. How many players tried to show up?
There were hundreds, actual hundreds of people.
Thousands.
Thousands?
At Grand Prix Hartford, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were hundreds of people who got. There
were
people who couldn't register.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it capped.
So the cap was 1,800.
Yeah, it hit 1,800 like 5 days ahead of time.
Yes, exactly. So this is what I'm currently doing right now. So Jake's going to go over the topics. I'm going to register. And this is a good piece of advice. What we're starting off with this week and continuing is each player here, myself, Kevin, Brad, and Jake, we're always going to give one piece of advice. And this week, pulled the straw, and it was make sure you guys register for your tournament ahead of time so you know you're locked in.
Yeah, as soon as you're going or you have your teammates locked in, or when you book your hotel or your flight, as soon as one piece of the puzzle is locked in, make sure you're registered for the event.
Yep.
Absolutely agree.
So, Jake, what are our topics for this week?
So we're going to start things out with our Top Decks feature, and this is where we talk about new or exciting decks that might be doing well in a format, and we decide whether or not we think those decks have the potential to be trash or treasure. So today we're going to talk about Standard.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dominaria is out. Some very exciting cards in Dominaria. We've seen the first 5-0 lists on Magic Online for Standard with Dominaria. Some interesting stuff in there.
And it only took a day for them to have the Dominaria cards in the lists, rather than the 48-card main decks that we saw on
Oh, that's what was happening?
Yeah. Dominaria non-reprint cards were missing, because I looked at the list and there was an Esper Control list with Isolated Chapel, so I was like, well, if the Dominaria cards are here, what is missing? It's just every Dominaria only card was missing. But they fixed it, so.
Okay, good.
Props to WotC.
Yeah, so, anyway, the format looks like it's pretty exciting. It definitely looks like there are going to be new decks. Could this revitalize Standard? We don't know, but today we want to talk about the decks that people are talking about in Standard. We're going to start with Red Aggro. This deck is the big deck from the last format. Somebody went 18-0 at a Grand Prix playing this deck. A really powerful strategy. It's been doing well for a very long time. They banned Ferocidon and it didn't matter. So what do you guys think about Mono Red in this new format?
All right.
I'll start with Gerard.
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this. I've been Standard. Mostly I've been focusing on Limited because there's a Team Limited tournament in Columbus, Ohio. And of course, the Bearded Dragon is probably most known for Modern. They've been having huge Modern events. The last couple of Modern events either broke 100 players or pretty much right around the 100-player mark.
Yeah.
So Standard, I don't get to play it too much locally. And on Magic Online, again, I've been practicing Modern, but I was like, hey, we're going to play in the team tournament next week. Me and Kevin are on a team together. I know Kevin's going to play Standard. The Pro Tour is coming up, the Pro Tour Standard. So I think Dominaria is re-hyping and giving a boost to Standard right now.
Are you qualified?
So that's going to be good. For what?
Pro Tour?
Yeah, for the next year Pro Tour I'm qualified, yes. So,
I think that,
fortunately, yeah.
the other thing about Standard getting revitalized right now is that with these team events coming up, and with more people getting excited about teams, people who are looking to get back into competitive Magic can get back in pretty easily by jumping in on a new Standard format and being for two other people who might have already been entrenched in.
Okay.
All right, so we're
Hey
continuing.
guys. Yeah, we're going to continue.
It was
we
a
were talking
brief
about
commercial
Mono
break.
Red. We kind of just started the show, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Gerard said that there could be, quick recap, Gerard said that there could be 3 versions of Mono Red: Goblins, Fast Mono Red, and Godfire's Gift Mono Red. There could even be decks in between. Kevin was just about to give his take on Mono Red in the new Standard.
Okay, so I think Red is good. I think that this Goblin Chain Whirler card is really cool and really good. A lot of people who I respect the opinion of were talking about how insane they think it is. And, like, they were already playing on Moto where they were like Chain Whirler mirrors, or were like messing with the whole dynamic of everything. And so this set is interesting because this is the first time that I've realized I've been playing Magic Online Standard a lot, and I realized that like the Dominaria cards were like better than the Kaladesh cards in some situations. And like I had a Whirl of Virtuoso, and it just didn't do anything because my opponent had like that 5-mana 5/4 green card, and it just like could never block it, and I died. But that doesn't exactly have anything to do with Mono Red. But basically, I think that even though
Well, I think it does have something to do with Mono Red. I think that 5/4 card existing
Well, it's a green card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that green card,
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that card is really good against mono red.
Yeah, it blocks
is.
everything, and then it hits really hard.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that you're talking about the Goblin Chain, the 3 mana 3/3 when it comes into
Yeah,
play.
and
So-
Hang the board, yeah.
But what I'm saying is now, is the format going to be okay? Well, we're not just going to play 1 toughness creatures anymore.
Yeah, but that's the thing,
That's
is
the
there's,
whole thing.
there's a really high
So it might be
incentive
good
to
now.
play a ton of one-toughness creatures, though, because, like, SRAM's expertise is, like, so well positioned.
There's like a whole bunch
Right,
of
things
tokens
like
decks
that,
that are
you know?
really good.
Okay.
Legion's
Legion's Landing
decks.
is still great.
And like Whirler Virtuoso, Glintsleeve Siphoner, like all these cards are like the shell of an energy deck, you know. So like maybe people will just stop playing those cards because
I think they might.
Whirler Virtuoso
Yeah.
isn't good against red anymore, and people are chain rolling you. But I think red is treasure. But I also think that like whatever the first week red list looks like is nothing like it'll look like
The week
6
8
weeks
list,
later.
yeah.
Or like nothing. The week 1 list and like the best list at the Pro Tour are not going to look anything alike. They're going to be like 10 cards different.
Yeah.
I think, but I do still think that red is a macro archetype is treasure, and yeah, well that's that.
Yeah, I think that red is still treasure. I'd also be interested to see if there's like a fourth deck, like the big red, like the treasure red deck that we used to see,
Sure.
with, like
Yeah,
treasure
okay.
map and the chicken and the glory bringers and stuff like that with Chandra, like a big red deck.
Chicken.
Yeah, the thing that it's the Phoenix. I call it a
Rekindling
chicken.
Phoenix.
Although
Yeah.
I call everything that comes back from the grave a chicken. I call the hollow one thing a chicken too.
It is
It's like
it's a
if
Phoenix.
it's a Phoenix, it's a chicken in my mind. They're just like red chickens. Yeah, and I also think Goblin Chain Whirler is everything that people wanted Path to Metal to be before they realized that it wasn't worth the white splash, like 2 weeks into last format.
Mm-hmm.
Goblin Chain Whirler is just like a better card, and it doesn't mess with your mana base. So, like, yeah, play it.
I was firmly of the opinion that like red, the new direction for red was Chain Whirler and Siege Gang at the top, and then last night I played a league and my mono red opponent had 4 copies of Zelfrin Void in their deck.
Oh, that's the Scryland.
That's the colorless Scryland,
I'm not actually convinced that.
and I
that-
was so confused.
I'm not actually convinced that Siege Gang Commander is necessarily better at dealing the last few points than just casting Glorybringer. I understand it makes the goons and you can throw them, but like, you could just cast more lightning strikes and shocks, or you could have a haste flyer.
It
Or you
lets
could have
you-
a flyer that can't possibly die. Like, Essence Scatter is still in the format, right?
It lets you bring in
So maybe you
Golden
want
Demise
Chandra too.
against red and not feel bad about it.
Yeah, so maybe you want Chandra to play through, like, you know, Hazoret's still in the format. Essence Scatter is still kind of the only way that the blue decks are not going to die to you. I don't know. We'll have to see
And
how the
Siege
format
Gang
plays
Commander
out.
in main decks is really good out of red decks because it punishes people for playing spot removal, and that's
Okay.
like their whole plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
I
that's
could
like
see
a
that.
big, that's like a, that's like
that's a-
Siege Gang Commander has always done in every
Okay.
format where it's ever been good.
Do you think Siege Gang Commander is good at the top end of like Grixis decks and stuff like that too? I mean, we might get there later on, so maybe we just
I think CJ
Save
Commander is
that.
very good with Grixis decks that are going to play Scarab God.
yeah.
Where
Yeah, because it's
your
just a
deck
bunch of
is
blockers.
now kind of warping into like this value deck where your 5-drops are going to most likely be Scarab God and Siege Gang Commander, and then it's going to kind of trickle down with some number of Planeswalkers, Supreme Will, Essence Scatter. So I think Grixis is going to be good, and it's likely we'll talk about
If
that
you
later.
do that
Yeah.
though, it makes sense to also play Liliana Death's Majesty, and then you rapidly approach like the ceiling for 5-drops in your deck, and your deck starts to have like diminishing returns on 5-drops because
I
you
don't
die
want to
before
play
you get
Death's
them out of your
Majesty
hand.
over. I would
It's
rather
just-
play the 4th Scarab God or the 4th Siege Gang before I play
Yeah.
the 1st Liliana.
Yeah, I think Liliana is like lower on the power level than Scarab God or Siege Gang because Siege Gang has a more impactful, immediate impact where
Yeah.
you're making 4 creatures.
And I'm not saying the deck would have to play 4 of either of those cards.
Yeah,
It
you
might
don't have to
play
play
3
4,
of
but-
them.
But like
I've been pretty
Liliana's
underwhelmed.
great with Siege Gang because like Siege Gang actually dies. Scarab God like gets exiled. You know, like most of the time when you play a Scarab God
He's talking about it never
and
stays
you
in
have
your deck.
Liliana, like you play Scarab God, and you're like, oh well, when my Scarab God dies, I can Liliana it back.
So
but, like
I'm-
that's never happened.
I'm playing Scarab God and Siege Gang Commander so that I can punish my opponent when I hit 5 mana. And I've cast a lot of Liliana Death's Majesties on empty boards or with a tapped out opponent and been extremely unhappy with what I got out of it. I like plus middle land and a Harness Lightning and have a 2/2 goon.
Yeah,
and they
it's
like
pretty
untap
slow.
and kill my Liliana. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, glad I wasted 5 mana on my Mythic. Like, I would have much rather had a Scarab God or 3 bodies.
so
Yeah.
maybe you just play a bunch of Chandras and use them to like.
Chandra's good, but like Chandra pulls your mana to be really, really red centric when all the other cards we want to play are blue and black, other than Harness Lightning.
I don't know. I think Chandra's just awesome.
Yeah, I think Chandra's great.
Chandra's
I
absurd.
think the
That's
way
really
you want to
good.
build this deck is more of a blue-red base deck.
Okay.
And I think that the black cards that you'll be playing are Scarab God or possibly like the one black
So you're not
removal
playing
spells.
Contempt?
Vraska's Contempt, I don't really think you need to play Vraska's Contempt as much as you did before. I know Vraska's Contempt at one point, I think it was like a $20 card because everybody was like, you need 4 Vraskis attempts. I don't think that's the case anymore. And I think Vraskis attempt will get kind of pushed out of the metagame. So if you have Vraskis attempts, go sell them. I would say.
I can't imagine that happening.
Well, Vraska's
Like, I
Contempt gets
appreciate
way
you
worse
as a
if we're
person.
thinking Scarab God's also going to get a little bit worse to these quick red decks, right? So
Vraskis attempt is so slow. It's 4 mana.
Vraska's Contempt is as good as Scarab God was the week before. Because
Yeah.
if a lot of people have Scarab God, then you're trading up for mana and killing it.
Yep.
If Scarab God's bad, then Vraska's Contempt is like a way overcosted Mono Craving.
Imagine if you have a Vraskis attempt and your opponent just plays Siege Gang Commander. That's so bad for you.
I'd actually rather have Mono Craving.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, it's so bad for you if you don't have anything else in play, but it's totally fine if you are a mid-range deck with permanence. If you have like a Champion of Wits
Well, no,
and
that-
a Dusk Legion Zealot, and then you can tempt their thing, it's fine.
But that was Jake's whole point, was that, like, Siege Gang Commander is good against spot removal no matter what it is, because it's the 3-for-1.
yeah.
So Siege Gang Commander is still good then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, I was saying 4.
Yeah, but it's not
Three
like
guys.
it doesn't.
I'm sure
I don't
Contempt
know.
will still be
Yeah,
good
yeah, I
because
don't know,
Scarab
yeah.
God is still the best card in Standard, I think. I might be wrong about that.
I think it
There's
might-
some.
I
I
have a
think
different
Karn is
pick.
pretty insane. I think
Yeah,
Teferi
Teferi
is
insane.
Teferi is absolutely absurd.
Teferi's great with
Everything.
everything.
Essence Scatter,
Just like it's
cast
just great
down,
with
or
everything.
not cast down, seal
Seal
away.
away. Yeah, seal away. Yeah.
Also, I'd like to mention that I said that Teferi was absolutely absurd. In
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Last episode.
Yeah, listen.
I don't know, maybe.
If you're looking for like,
I had to lose to it in Brawl to really understand.
yeah, if you're looking for good specs, make sure you go to Jake. Message Jake on Twitter.
I know
He'll
everything
respond.
in the entire.
He also
He
picked
does.
History of Benalia when it was
Oh,
like
we're
still
gonna talk about all
$3
these-
and like a day
All
over.
this stuff is in there.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go
We're
next.
getting
Yeah.
a little
Okay, so
off
quick
track.
trash and treasure on red.
Treasure. I think I
Treasure,
read
treasure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next
All right,
one.
next deck we're going to talk about is Sultai Constrictor, and also like the energy versions of the deck.
Sure.
we can talk about those too. Gerard, your take on this?
Oh, I think this deck is good for sure. When you say the Sultai Constrictor deck, I always think back at I forgot who it was who got second place.
Aaron Barrett.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hadana's Climb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I think
That
Hadana's.
dude's a baller.
Yeah, I think Hadana's Climb is still going to be one of the best ways to finish off in that type of archetype. I think the Constrictor's really good. Walking Bliss is really good. You have Verter's Gear Hulk. Just overall, the deck's good. I like this deck a lot. I actually played a similar deck at one of the Pro Tours recently where I was playing with Electrostatic Pummeler and Long Tusk Cub and whatnot. Attune with Ether was legal back then. Overall, I like the deck. I think it's good. I don't know what cards immediately stand out from the new set. Maybe Kevin could fill in for there
So,
for Dominaria.
the thing is
like,
that people
is there a card that's just like, boom, I'm definitely going to
Well-
want that in my deck?
So Gerard thinks this is treasure.
Yeah.
Kevin, your take on this?
I actually think this deck is trash, but there's like one major like constraint on my decision, and that's that like people are putting Line of War Elves in this deck, and it's not really like a Line of War Elves deck in my opinion. I think that it's weird to put Line of War Elves in this deck because the only like upside it does is like it makes your Jade Light range a little bit better, and it makes like your Blossoming Defense turns a little bit better too. But like the mana creature that makes energy is clearly better in Servant of the Conduit than the mana creature that doesn't give you like incidental energy, and like you have a lot of trouble with black mana, and like that black mana is taxed much more than the green mana is taxed. So like the surplus of green mana doesn't really afford you as many luxuries as the surplus of black mana would in a lot of ways. But I just think that like this deck is going to get built wrong a lot. And like yeah, sure, I agree that like Llanowar Elves into Bristling Hydra is nuts. But I don't think you even need to play black to do that. You can just do that in mono green.
Yeah, you could do it with Servant Conduit. It doesn't speed up the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like, it doesn't make sense.
You do have a lot of things fighting for the 2 slot though, right? In that deck.
Well,
Yeah,
like
but like
you said,
you
they
double
got, like,
2.
awesome things.
That's what your deck does. You like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
double.
yeah.
You go like 2, 2, double 2. Like
Yeah.
that's what you. Or you go like 2 plus 2 plus interaction, or you know,
we got it.
double 2 plus Blossoming
Yeah,
Defense.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah. It's just like you actually punish them for killing your first 2 drop because they can never figure out how you're sequencing.
Yeah.
Like when you play Grixis against Sultai, it's like you have to kill Servant of the Conduit on sight because every threat has defense backup now. But like you also just wasted a removal spell on Servant of the Conduit, and if you draw your Fatal Push before your Magna Spray, you just get like it just spirals out of control, and like that's how that deck wins.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
mean,
sense.
I think that the one that's going to be best for you on board the next turn is usually the one you want to play against mono red, and that may surprise people. But I think that mono red opponents have adapted to playing against these constrictor type decks if they've been playing mono red this whole time in such a way where they want to establish a board presence and then start killing your stuff. And they are under the assumption that their Sultai opponents play the 2-drop that's most expendable first for their game plan.
I think they do.
So you think you play the better 2-drop first against red because they probably
Yeah,
they
and
can't
the other
afford
thing
to
is
kill
that
it.
if they spend their turn doing that, also killing that often gets you to the stage of the game where you're beating them.
Yeah.
But if I don't know that
Like,
I
I'd
agree.
usually much rather have them kill my Constrictor, even if I have a good Constrictor hand, than play a Karizev. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, it's like Delver. That's why my Delver Modern argument is like, oh, I get to, like, Delver sucks in Modern, but I get to tax a mana from them, which makes all my other cards better. Like, it makes sense to say that, like, yeah, anything, if they remove anything of yours, it's better than them developing their board, because the way that red wins is by just, like curving out creature spells and then playing removal.
Yeah.
Versus vice versa, or, like, trying
Absolutely.
to interact.
So you
And I
think the
get
deck's
that.
trash, though? I think, like, we got your point that Llanowar Elves, a lot of people are
I
putting
think
it in,
it's
you
going
don't
to
think
get
it's well
misbuilt.
positioned.
I think that mana, like, adding more mana creatures to the deck is just like, it's like that Sultai deck in Legacy where you end up with, like, 8 mana creatures in your deck and, like, 30 land sources or whatever.
Yeah. That's what you don't like.
Yeah, I just don't.
Brad,
I think
what's
it's
your
going to
take
flood.
on this?
So I think that Sultai is treasure now and will be trash in the future, and I think that the inverse is true for Grixis. I think that Grixis is a mid-range control
Well,
slant.
because we're going to talk about Grixis in a little bit.
Okay.
But just Sultai right now.
So Sultai is good. I mean, it's an aggro deck that has the ability to play mid-range. It has Walking Ballista, which is good against the go-wide white decks and against the low-curve red decks. And it's early on in the format, so unless your opponent is playing, like, base green monsters, they're going to likely be aggressive, or they're going to lose to a bunch of stuff because it's too hard to build a control deck early on. So I'm assuming that they have X1s in their deck. Walking Ballista is absurd against X1s. Your creatures are also bigger than theirs if your snake lives on most boards, which means that they need to have removal in their colors. So, like, your mono-white opponent has Ixalan's Binding on 4. They don't have a removal spell for your snake most of the time. They're like, Legion's Landing into a Danto's Vanguard, and you're like, cool, snake, ballista, kill your guys, go. Like, so I think that that's a good place to be early on, but in a week or two, when the format has Scarab Gods resolving and people casting Chandra and activating Search for Azcanta and whatever, then Snake might be a little worse, and you kind of need to go back to relying on Hadana's Climb and Bristling Hydra so that you can punch through the removal heavy decks. But for now, you just want to dominate the battlefield, and green creatures do that.
Well put. So, Gerard thinks it's treasure. Kevin thinks it's trash. Brad thinks it's treasure right now, but has the potential to be in terms of what other people are playing and that dictating whether or not it's good. One of the things we talked about when we talked about Mono Red was how Siege Gang Commander makes spot removal worse. If spot removal gets worse and people start playing less spot removal, especially less cheap spot removal, then this deck gets dramatically better in that situation. However, if the Siege Gang Commander decks kind of wane in popularity and people start playing more spot removal again, then these decks, end up becoming worse again. So I think this deck is a really good metric on, I think when this deck is good, the Siege Gang Commander decks will likely not be great, and I think that when this deck is bad, the Siege Gang Commander decks are going to be incredible. So that'll be like an interesting push and pull in the future standard that we'll have to watch out for. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to say it's treasure right now, because I think it is treasure right now. That's a great deck for like a new format also, because it just is this like cohesive engine where every single card works with every other card, and you want your deck to be a well-oiled machine. That one is. Next deck we're going to talk about is Blue-White or Esper Control. This deck features my favorite card from the new set, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. If you guys haven't had a chance to play with it, you should put it in every deck that can cast it, because it's absurd. Gerard, what's your take on this deck?
I'm always a fan of the blue-white or the Esper Control decks, so I think that both could be good for sure. You could build it with Approach, or you could not have Approach. I would say probably that you might not want Approach right now. I think playing like Torrential Gearhulk, playing Teferi, playing the new Baneslayer Angel might just be a better route, because you're going to have a lot of cheap cards as well to really help you. You have a few cheap counter spells in the form of Syncopate. You have Essence Scatter.
Censor.
You have Censor, and then your other 2-drop is going to be Seal Away. So you're going to have a lot of interaction. So overall, I think that whichever way you build it is going to be good. I think probably just playing blue-white might just be better. I don't necessarily think you need the black. And I don't know if, you having Isolated Chapel in your deck or Dark Ward or Catacombs is going to like slow you down. For now, I would say the deck is treasure, but I would go just a blue-white route instead of playing Esper.
I also think this deck is treasure. I played against it online, and it felt very good. Seal Away, kind of ties up a lot of things. Previous blue-white control decks, like, kind of had to play approach because the removal was, like, not great. And it was
baffling end.
It was, yeah, exactly. It was, like, settle and fumigate, and then, like, all the spot removal was bad. So, like, you had to just be able to actually get them with, like, a combo before you could, before they could eventually kill you, because you couldn't really kill everything that they did. But now, I think that Seal Away kind of ties everything together nicely, and you can just play, like, a flashy control deck that's, like, pretty heavy control and says go a ton. Teferi's great in that deck. It has, that's a good deck to play just, like, 3 or 4 Torrential Gear Hulks. I don't know if you guys know who Oath McNamara is. He's a standard league grinder, and he has 5 trophies, and all of them have been with, like, blue-white X control decks in the past, like, week and a half. And I played against him online, and his deck seemed great, and he crushed me. And I was playing Grixis and just can't. Search for Iskanta is an insane card. And, like, all these payoffs are, like, really sweet, and you don't play approach, so you're not, like, super weak to negate, like, the other control decks have been. And I think that is just a good direction for control to go. I do think it's a tough deck to play week 1, because if your 5 or 6 flex slots are bad, your deck is really bad. But
I don't know if that's true. You can play like Force Sensor. You can play like pretty wide answers.
Yeah,
Supreme Will's also pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with Jake and Brad. I don't think that if your deck is, quote unquote, off by 5 or 6 or 7 cards, it's going to make your deck really bad. It just kind of doesn't matter.
Everybody's deck's gonna.
The other thing is, like,
not only is it week 1, you don't know what you're going to play against.
But if you're bad and aggressive, like, your flaws are obscured by the nature of your deck, and if you're bad and reactive, your flaws are exposed by the nature of your deck. If that
That's
makes
also
sense.
true.
Sure.
So, like,
But,
you
like,
can have a bad mono red deck, but you're just like jam, and if you have a bad control deck, you're just gonna look embarrassing when people are you have Syncopate for 1, and people are Llanowar Elvesing you and, like, playing around it, and just all sorts of nonsense is going on. It's just, like, scary. I don't know.
But, like,
Okay.
you're even
I still
the
said it was
worst case
treasure, though, so,
scenario.
like-
The worst case scenario for a control deck is that they resolve a permanent you can't answer, right? And in blue white control, we have cast or not cast out, whatever the flash thing. Seal away to
cast
answer
out,
every
though.
creature, and we have like cast out or commit memory to answer any permanent. So like, what's your worst case scenario? You played bad and they resolved a scary thing, because your deck should be able to answer everything.
Yeah, and I don't think Syncopate is like a good valid reason, because Syncopate might only be like a 1 of in your deck.
Yeah,
I don't think
because-
Syncopate is that good.
I think it's a 4 of.
No,
not
Syncopate's
even
like
close.
heinous on the draw,
Yeah, it's bad.
and if you're ever behind, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, like, why would you play Syncopate when you are able to play 4 copies of Censor, and you're able to play a mix of Negate and Essence Scatter, which is always going to just
Censor
be a
is
2 mana.
just Syncopate that doesn't scale.
What do you
No,
think your
Censor
average?
is miles better than
What's
Syncopate.
your average Syncopate number going to be over the course of a game? You think you're going to trade it on like turn 2, 3, or 4, right? So it's probably going to be a mana leak for
Trade
4
it
mana.
on turn 2, hopefully, and then once throughout the game later on.
So I think it's either worse than Censor or worse than Supreme Will.
Yes, I agree.
Unless you get
I
to 6
agree.
mana, and then it's worse than Gear Hulk.
Yep.
It's just like never better
There's
than
no
what I
room
could
for
do.
Censor. There's no I'm sorry. There's no room for Syncopate when you have Censor.
I
you
actually
have
agree with
Essence
Kevin on
Scatter,
this one.
Negate, and Supreme Will. No,
I agree with
Syncopate's,
Kevin.
Syncopate's garbage card.
Syncopate. I've played for Syncopate in decks that I've done very, very good.
Yes,
with
I
in the
also
past.
have a
Yeah, but there's no
huge-
chance
dark
you're
No,
gonna
no,
Syncopate
no,
flaw.
no. Here's the thing. I never played with that card alongside it. Now, here's what I want to say about Syncopate, though. I think that Censor is a better card. I'd rather play 4 Censor than the first Syncopate. Absolutely agree with that. But I don't think that Syncopate versus Supreme Will is as clear-cut as everybody else is saying it is.
yeah, it's not.
I think leaving open 2 mana with a Syncopate, just like leaving open a Mana Tithe or a Force Spike, like, that gets people on turn 4. That gets people on turn 5. Like, in this standard format, people are going to be trying to tap out on every single turn. using
They
all of
always
their
are.
mana.
That's how standard is.
That's how standard works. And because of standard working that way, because it's so powerful to be tapping out on turn 5, you pay 2 mana and play 2-drop and leave open 2 mana when you're on the draw. Or you play 3 mana and play 3-drop and leave open 2 mana when you're, like, on the play. You Syncopate their 5 and you just, like, win the game.
Well, I would say not, because I'm on the total other side of the spectrum.
Okay.
I think that I'm drawing a blank at the card's name.
Censor. Syncopate?
No, the 3
Well,
mana.
Censor's
Supreme
definitely...
Will.
Yeah, sorry, Supreme Will. I think Supreme Will is miles better than Syncopate.
Okay.
You
I'm
get
just
to-
not
you
gonna
get
play
to dig for an
Syncopate.
answer.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna. Yeah, like
Supreme Will is the
Supreme Will
most
is so
frustrating
good.
card
It's
I've ever played.
So good.
Your
Supreme
opponent
Will's really good.
You like leave it up for
It's
the
probably a
turn.
mix. I wouldn't play, like... It's not like I would
Everybody
play
out there,
4 Syncopate before I play the
0
first one.
syncopates.
Because when you leave up Syncopate and your opponent just like plays a snake and you're like, well, I have 4 lands and they have 3 lands untapped. Looks like I'm not doing anything this turn.
Yeah,
What,
yeah,
you leave up
Syncopate's
Supreme
garbage.
Will and you're like, They can pay for my mana.
Listen.
Guess I'll dig for a Fatal Push and kill their small creature.
Kevin and Jake, by the end of the show, it's not if you like change your answer. It shows like that you're a great person inside.
Yeah.
If you're like what, I was wrong. Supreme Will is miles better.
But like, I don't think that's true. I
don't
think you
think
can
that's
play
true
one Supreme Will maybe in your deck. Maybe
Do we have
two.
the chat going?
I
Can
think
we-
I would
can we-
probably play
what's
like
the
3
chat saying?
Supreme Will, 2 Syncopate, 4 Censor.
Yeah, chat. We want to know what
Syncopate-
you're saying with the Supreme Will versus
Also,
Syncopate.
this censor thing, like, you guys are going nuts. Like, censor.
Censor is
Do you
insane.
understand how censor
Censor's
works?
the
right?
exact same argument as Syncopate.
No,
That Force Spike
no.
gets people on turn
Because
5.
Censor
Force Spike
doesn't-
costing 2 is still Force Spike.
Censor
whether it's
doesn't
X is
scale.
1 or Force Spike.
It doesn't scale. It
Wait, hold on,
forces
hold on.
you to make
Our producer,
value-based
yes.
decisions
0
when you
and
have
2.
imperfect
For what?
information.
For Supreme Wills, it's either 0 or 2 apparently.
What does that mean? Like, are they in favor of Supreme Will or are they in favor
No,
of
they're saying
Syncopate?
the acceptable number of Supreme Wills to play in your deck is 0 or 2.
That's
No.
like
Which I
that's
agree with.
nonsense. There's
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
you have to know
yeah.
what the format looks like.
Yeah.
How many Supreme? Maybe all of the
No,
counter
I
spells are
agree.
bad, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
No, I'm
You're supposed to
allowed
guess
to play a
Fumigate.
deck with 3, so I don't agree.
also like Essence Scatter is absurd. I don't
Yes.
even think we're playing this many Force Spikes.
Well, I think that the way I would start my blue-white control deck with counterspell base, it would just be 4 Essence Scatter, 4 Censor, and 4 Supreme Will.
And
That's what I would start.
disallow.
No,
Yeah,
I would
no,
not play Disallow.
I wouldn't play Disallow.
No,
right now.
Disallow
Disallow is garbage.
Disallow
Garbage
trades
card.
down a
shouldn't
lot.
You're just trying to play cancel.
Well,
The dude with
yeah,
5
trying to
trophies.
stay out here playing cancel.
The dude with 5 trophies has had 4 disallow in his deck every single time.
And how many?
Sounds
Supreme
like he's
Will?
only playing against
Like
untuned
2.
week 1 decks.
1 or
Like,
2.
No, I would never do that.
I mean,
Yeah.
that guy's good. I think that guy knows what he's doing, but I'm not willing to say that like Disallow is like
Yeah.
going to be this
Well, you're also-
incredible thing.
If you're
yeah,
jamming
no.
Teferi on 5, you're also incentivized to fill your deck with either Syncopate, Censor, Essence Scatter, or Negate, because that's what Teferi lets you cast.
Yes.
Disallow is like, you like get to use it, it bridges you, it lets you beat like the late game from the gift decks where they're just unearthing a bunch of champions.
That
Like-
is a good point that Brad said, that maybe Supreme Will, maybe you go to like 3 because you want to make room for like Negate.
Yeah, because you just want to
Yeah,
cast your
yeah.
2-drops off Teferi on like
Yeah.
your Flashpoint turn.
Well, also Supreme Will makes other 1-ofs better. It's like a mini dig through time thing.
Well, Supreme Will just makes like your deck better because you have a modal spell.
Yeah.
That's like how
Yeah, any
modal
spell
spells
in
work.
Magic.
But you're also able to hold it when you're not supposed to.
Yeah, it's like
the same reason-
Brainstorm. You can play it
Yeah, yeah.
bad or you can play it
I just
well,
play
but it's
Syncopate.
always going to draw you cards.
I just play Syncopate because I can't mess it up, and I almost cursed there, but I didn't. I caught myself.
You can mess it up. You don't tap all your mana
In
and
the
then they
team
pay.
tournament next week, I do not want you to play Syncopate.
Well, don't worry. I'm playing like 4 Wrath Compassion Ships Mage.
What's that?
It's like
that
a 2/2 with flash and no other text because it's already dead. Because
Wait,
your
no,
opponent's
so
playing
sad
it.
over
Hold on,
there.
explain to me what that card is. I want to know.
It's 2 white-blue for a 3/3 Flash Flyer
Yeah,
that lets
okay.
you play any historic spell at instant speed.
Yeah, that card's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to play Syncopate.
No, I'm playing Supreme Will.
Yes, exactly.
But, like, that's not the
why,
point
So why are you arguing that?
of the argument. The point is that in a hard control deck, Syncopate is better because it scales. And if you don't have a combo-esque win condition, like Approach of the Second Sun, or even like the Scarab God,
Kevin's
that's
never
like
had
super
that.
important to drawing to,
I just
then like
used to
Supreme Will is really not good because your deck is so redundant that you're Supreme Willing into something that doesn't matter.
Have you ever cast Glimmer of Genius with 3 untapped mana and then mana leaked their whole turn? It's
Yeah,
like
dude, I've
way
been
better
doing
than
this for 6
mana
months.
leaking them for
Okay.
With a
6.
400 or a 42% win percentage.
All right, Jake, take control. Tell Kevin just to.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
no.
so I think
I'm
we're
sorry,
pretty split
viewers.
on this. I have played Syncopate in decks where I have had like an over 90% match win rate. Like, I don't know. I think Syncopate is a real Magic card, but I agree that there are arguments against it. I don't think it's like ultra powerful or anything. I think it is definitely a playable option in Standard. I think there will be decks that want to be playing 3 or 4 of it.
All right, really quick
There
before
will
we go to
be.
the next topic, how many ops are we playing?
How many Search for Scant are we playing?
Exactly.
That's a good,
Yeah,
good
that's good,
answer
yeah.
to that question.
Yes.
I was just going to say
Perfect.
0 opt into search, but I didn't think
I think
about
you want
opt
at
that
least
much.
3
The
search.
more search you have, the more cheap cycling you have. If you have
Yeah.
search, you better have 4 Field of Ruin, and you better be playing multiple opt.
You
Yeah.
just play
Fill your
Hieroglyphic
graveyard.
Illumination.
Sure, but also opt because you like still want to 4 mana mode your hieroglyphics some percentage of the time. You like actually want a divination. You're not just playing cycling blue. You're not playing Lonely
let's move on
Sandbar.
to the next topic by me saying this. Syncopate targeting Champion of Wits is just the best thing ever.
You know you're allowed to just like magma spray it,
Yeah, but I can't play
Or,
Grixis
like-
anymore, man. I can't win.
or just like cast Seal Away on it, and now
Wait,
it's
really
exiled.
quick. Besides Champion Wits, what's another card that you want to syncopate?
Scarab God.
No,
yeah,
that,
the
no,
Scarab God's a good one.
Doesn't matter what you're countering Scaregard with; it's just not
Yeah,
coming back.
Scarab God just doesn't come back.
Well, yeah. But I'm just saying, like,
No, I'm saying like that it has the
In the
remove
control
effect.
mirror and the Gear Hulk mirror, it matters that they have one less thing to Gear Hulk.
It also
If you
matters.
like
that
snipe a good
Start
spell.
Angel of Sanctions.
it also matters
Like-
because if it's exiled,
Kenra,
then they can't. Yeah,
Kenra
Kenra's
kind
a
of
good one.
matters.
They can't
Yeah, all the
later
Kenras.
on set up like Scarab God, exiling a Scarab God to play around a removal spell. So like Syncopate is actually
Yeah.
kind of good there.
And the
Alright, that's
Kenras are
fine.
also like some of the best cards against the control decks.
Because
I
they
mean,
count
like,
as
you
two
like
cards.
you pay 2
Yeah,
mana
the
and you
green
counter
one
a Kenra,
especially is
it's like,
annoying
Yeah,
because
those
once
cards
they
kill you.
like play a big creature and a Merfolk Branchwalker, and then they just make their Merfolk Branchwalker like 6 power, and they're like, all right, well you have to cast a removal spell on my
Exactly.
worst card.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about here is Godfarer's Gift. I think we're going to talk about specifically blue-white or blue-red, but
Yeah.
we could also talk a little bit
Yeah.
about mono-red. if we
I'll
want to.
let you guys talk about. I just kind of was like, you can talk about like whichever version you feel more comfortable talking
So
about.
the new metagame is mostly blue-white. People haven't really continued to have success with blue-red for now. So I guess we should talk about blue-white for
Yeah,
week one.
well, either one. I just want to give a quick rundown. I do think that the Godfather Gifts deck in general is very, very powerful, and I do think that the mono red one might get overlooked. But I think that is a deck, and it's not just because I'm trying to hype up Rowdy Crew, which obviously I am because I have a lot of Rowdy Crews. Overall, I think a card like Rowdy Crew or Siege Gang Commander really gives the deck like the extra advantage that you want. And I think any gift deck is going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like, I don't know, it's close because the white sideboard cards are still like
What are
very,
the main
very
white
good.
sideboard cards that you want?
Fumigate. Crush the snake decks and stuff
You
like
just
that.
turn
Like
into a
the-
control deck. You have
They're just
cast
like
outs
playing a
and settle.
monsters deck, and
Okay.
you're like, wrath your board. I don't need the combo on time. I'll play my 7-drop on turn 7.
The
Okay.
other thing is that Angel of Invention is just so good in the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Angel of Sanctions out of the board is very good also.
Yeah.
that's.
I do have a lot
another
of
good
Angel of
one.
Sanctions
Yeah.
too, so I'm like.
there's like
Cast
the-
out cycles towards search for Azcanta because you never cast it for 4.
All right, that's
Cast
fair.
out is really good too. I think
I
that
don't love Cast Out in the deck.
I play like,
But I like it in my graveyard flipping search.
I like playing like 2 cast outs. It's just like
No,
velocity.
Now
And
that
you
you
can
have
just,
Seal
like-
Away, just don't mess with Cast Out.
You're not playing Seal Away at all in your gift deck.
well,
Agreed, but
Well,
like-
Seal Away and Cast Out are for two different things because Cast Out can
Yeah.
hit Planeswalkers.
But I'm only worried about Hazaret with either of those
The
cards.
Scarab
really.
God, bro. You can
The
cast
other
out
thing-
That
the
card
Scarab
costs
God.
5. Refurbish costs 4.
The other thing is that Cast Out is very good against opposing gifts deck as well, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
you like let them resolve. You can tag there as Azcanta.
Yes, exactly. So I do think that you shouldn't really, discount
Yeah.
Cast Out quite yet. You don't really know what the metagame's going to be. And I know a lot of people maybe are listening to this as you're driving and stuff, and you're thinking, yeah, you're brewing in your head. That's what I do a lot. And I do think that standard is going to be wide open. You should be looking at the 5-0 decks, not when you're driving, obviously, but
Yeah.
when you're home, you look at the 5-0
Standard
decks.
exciting.
And I would say probably the biggest impact we won't really have for a while. There is a Team SCG coming up this weekend and a Team SCG next weekend, but you can never really trust those results because you don't know how well the standard player has done for their team.
Yeah, I think Vehicles won the week 1 for this format, and then
Yep.
at the Grand Prix, the top decks were Black-Red Vehicles and Blue-Red Godfarer's Gift.
Oh,
So, like,
the first week of Rival Standard, John was the vehicles player that won. That was on
yeah,
the
so
winning
his team won, and
His
his record was
5
like,
and 10.
yeah,
Or
his
Japanese
record
record.
was like
It was
3 and 8 with 4 unfinished.
Yeah, it was-
he had
it was
like a
sub
wickedly
500.
losing record with a bunch of matches that both of his friends finished first.
He's a great Magic player. I'm a
but,
fan of
but
him.
Walking Ballista was not good
he
that
was,
weekend.
He was not doing well.
Yeah. So,
So what deck are we talking
no,
about?
we're talking about
the
gifts.
gifts.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
any version of gifts. So I'm going to say I probably like maybe the red version or, the blue-white version. I like every version of it. Kevin, which version do you like the best?
I like the blue-white version the best because it just like personally the style appeals to me more of being
Okay.
able to like flex
Sure.
and like board into a control deck or whatever.
Yeah.
Andrew Jessup 5-0'd like a day or two ago with a blue-white deck with 0 new cards.
Okay.
And just had like Settle and Fumigate in his sideboard.
Yeah.
His deck looked great. I don't know. I think that it's weird. Like Blue-White Gift is a strange deck. It's like its viability is contingent on like the amount of abrades that people are playing like arbitrarily. Because like people will just put abrades into the deck because it kills stuff without thinking about like the ancillary part of it that like kills artifacts, which makes it like actually the best removal spell to play as a 4 of in some metagames, but also the one that should be a 1 of in other metagames. And like I think that there's a lot of weird things going on. Like if people think Snake is treasure, like the mid-range decks will be like push instead of Abrade, and Seal Away makes like there'll be more decks that don't need to play damage-based removal as a consequence of that. Like the approach deck that played the Harness Lightning like won't ever do that again. And like these things kind of make like it less likely for there to be Abrades in decks, which makes like the Gift better.
Okay, cool.
But I think that the blue-white deck is worse against Abrade than the blue-red deck. So if you want to play a Gift deck when people are still playing Abrade, the blue-red one is better because it goes underneath spot removal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, what you're going to have to do if you really are going to take Standard seriously, or if you have a big tournament coming up, is that you're just going to have to play on Magic Online or go to your local store, jam a lot of games, play a lot of games, test it out, talk to some friends about it. And the more practice you get and the more games you have under your belt in any format, realistically, you're going to perform better. You have a higher percentage chance of performing better. You know, if you're like, I want to play this deck and you only practice a little bit and you do bad at a tournament, it doesn't necessarily mean that the deck is bad. What it more likely means that you just did not practice enough, and that's why you maybe did bad.
All right, so all you guys think to give this treasure?
Yeah, I think treasure.
I think
Yep.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Brad thinks it's okay. I think this deck is trash.
Okay.
I think that like the settle decks before struggled because they didn't really have the support for that settle. Like they didn't really have a cleanup card for the opponent's follow up. I think Seal Away gives those decks that card. And the fact that they're like exiling permanents means that the Gate to the Afterlife versions of the deck, at least, get like a lot worse because like your guys just aren't going to the yard as much. You can get syncopated.
Yeah, I think Settle the Wreckage is going to be good.
Yeah, I think Settle will be really good. I think Seal Away is really good. I think that as a result, the Gate versions of the deck definitely get quite a bit worse. I think the refurbished versions of the deck, the versions that like go hard on that play things like like strategic planning and whatnot, those versions will likely continue to be powerful. Like what Pascal did so well PT with. Like a deck like that, I think could be a really good PT deck.
That deck is good against Grixis Energy and like...
And it's really good against red decks.
And you can also transform into like a blue-white control deck post-board and just like pretend that Angel of whatever, the one that makes tokens, is just like your Baneslayer. And you just like jam a bunch of Teferis and Settle the Wreckages and Fumigates in your board and just like cut the gifts and the refurbishes. And you're just like playing awkward cantrips.
I mean, you might just jam Teferi in his
his regular deck, yeah.
I had so many matches against that deck with Grixis in the past format, and I couldn't win. It was like the worst matchup ever.
I just like really wanted, right after Pascal won the Pro Tour, or not won, but like did really well the Pro Tour, I just like really wanted to make Cataclysmic Gearhulk work in that deck.
Oh, I played that card in that deck before.
I would cast it, and then I would like, then it registered that I couldn't keep it and my God Pharaoh's Gift, and I was like, I don't know. Yeah, but I also had a better creature most of the time.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So it wasn't actually good. But if you ever feel like you need Fumigate on a stick, dial
that
up
card
Gearhulk.
is not Tragic Arrogance. Tragic Arrogance was nuts.
Tragic Arrogance was very good, and this card is not Tragic Arrogance.
Tragic Arrogance was better.
Jake, what do we got next?
Next we have Grixis, blue-black and blue-black-green like energy decks. The focused energy strategy.
This Siphoner, Aetherhub, Scarab God decks.
I'm going to take the lead on this.
Still
take the lead.
exists.
I think this deck is awful. I think this deck has been bad for 2 or 3 weeks, and if you look at Moto, it demonstrated it between the Black-Red aggro deck and the various God Pharaoh's Gift decks and the jump to the Snake deck. The backbone of this deck is Glintsleeve Siphoner. And this deck does not actually play Glintsleeve Siphoner that well. It's like this clunky 3-color control deck that needs Glintsleeve Siphoner, Argwell's Bloodfast to actually play Magic so that you can continue to 1-for-1 because you're not really actually a Gearhulk deck. And, like, Snake just does it all better. Snake is a better base black aggro deck, it's a better Glintsleeve Siphoner deck, and it's a better, like, post-board duress kill you deck. Your plan against a lot of the decks you can't beat is protect the Siphoner and, like, cast 4 negates. To just kill them. Stop trying to, like, 2 them 10 times in a row and just kill them.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
I also think that this is my deck. Like, this is the deck I've been playing.
This was my deck, too. I, like, spiked back-to-back pre-teachers.
No, this was my
it,
deck,
and
guys.
It was like,
this was my deck.
I love this deck, but like, it's just not good.
So many matches on Magic Online with this deck, and now I'm like struggling to 3-2, when I was like, I had to like kick it away to go 4-1. Like I was losing playing for 5-0 like a month ago. Almost every league I played, it was 4-1 or 3-2 almost every league. Now it's like 2-3, 3-2 if I'm lucky, and like my cards don't feel good anymore. The context of the format, it's like you're not good enough against control decks. You're not aggressive enough against control decks, and you're not controlling enough against aggressive decks. And like you're a mid-range deck, but you don't actually have any other mid-range decks to play against because none of them are good, and everyone else realizes that. So you end up like just playing against creature decks as a bad control deck and playing against control decks as a bad creature deck, and you're not good at either of those things. And then you play against Gift, and there's only 2 Abrades in your deck, and you just want to die. And it's like the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
But it's not good. It's trash. And I want it to be good because Glimmer, Gearhulk, Scarab God, Whirler Virtuoso are all things that I love to do. But like these decks aren't good right now. And the other thing is like you just play against tokens. Like that matchup is heinously bad.
I think in general that the cards from Dominaria are powerful enough that you want to be playing with them, and this deck is kind of like a pre-con in so many ways, where like 52 cards of your deck have been decided for you already, and then like what are you just gonna like jam some cards in there or something? Like, I don't know. Like I think that there are a lot of really powerful new options that you
I'm
need to
excited
adapt
to just play
to.
Blue White.
And I don't think that this deck is really this deck was a throwback for the fact that Kaladesh was the most powerful set in Standard, and even though it still probably is, I don't think this deck still has what it takes because it's playing the leftovers after the
Yeah,
I think
Yep.
one
It's
version
like-
that could be good is like a big Sultai deck that plays like
I think Sultai is good. I
Shit.
think Grixis is bad.
no like a Sultai, not like a snake deck, like a mid range deck.
I'm okay with that. I
With,
just
like,
think that forcing Magma Sprayer Braid and Chandra in your base black-green deck and cutting the green, which is
No,
basically
it's
the
like-
Grixis deck.
It's like 4 push, 4 contempt, 2 cast down. And
This
then,
deck sounds like it loses to all the things Grixis already loses to.
no,
You just named the
Cast
Grixis
down.
removal and then 2 cast downs.
Yeah, you just don't have to play red cards.
What's
It's
cast
great.
down?
And you can
It's like
champion it, which is great.
go for the throat. It's 1 in a black instant destroy target non-legend.
non-legendary. Yep.
I think Vraska's pretty good.
So what happens when your opponent just like casts Karizev
I agree
and
with
you like
Vraska is
have
actually
cast down?
Kind of sick right now.
Well, you can't.
But I
kill
just
it.
want to put Vraska in my snake board. I just want to like cast Vraska off of Servant of the Conduit on 5.
Oh, I would
Yeah,
put Servant of
there's
Conduit in
no
this deck
way
too.
I'm playing Servant of the Conduit in any deck. That card is just not up to snuff.
Yeah, I
right
think
now.
I think
Okay.
also
Standard is
Teferi
powerful
right now.
enough that
I think Teferi is just more powerful than Nebraska, and it's cheaper.
Oh, I thought we were talking about like Black X mid-range.
Well,
cards.
we are, but I'm saying in general.
Oh, yeah,
which
Teferi's
why-
in
absurd.
general,
I'd rather
yeah.
play Karn and Teferi
Exactly.
than Vraska. Vraska's
So
way too slow.
if you're playing Blue White, you're playing Karn and you're playing Teferi and you're playing Gearhulk, and the rest of your deck is like Settle the Wreckage, cheap counter spells,
and removal spells.
and removal spells.
Vraska used to be great because you had a Tune with Ether to make it free, and you had Anointed Processions you wanted to blow up. Neither of those are true anymore.
Yeah,
I
I think Blue White
absolutely.
is probably the strongest deck.
Blue White. I'm going home and playing Blue White. Like,
Control.
well, I mean, I'm trying to win, so yeah.
I'm gonna try to pick up some Blue White cards here. at the
I'm
Iron
not
Dragon.
playing Blue White 4 mana do nothing flash creatures.
mean,
no.
I need Blue White cards.
I don't know. I played a standard league, and
And you crushed.
I 4-1'd, and I played a
Elves.
Ceram's Expertise
He's playing
deck.
Elves.
Ceram's Expertise deck that I
Okay.
just tossed together, and that 3-mana Anthem guy with
Oh,
Ceram's
Benalis.
Expertise.
Benalis Marshall is
Like,
nutty.
Yeah.
I mean, like 7 points of power for 4 mana feels real nice, and it also like basically creates hasty power on the board.
Did you ever put in a
play
Slippery
around
Scoundrel?
settles? It felt like nobody was playing Fumigates. They were playing settles, and like they just like leave open the bed, and they're like, "Ugh," and you just like attack with like 3
Half the
guys.
yeah.
Or like sometimes you really punish them. You attack with like 1 or 2 guys. Just because like you don't even have to. You're like, fine, you're just not gonna tap your mana. I'll just cast stuff. Because I played for Karn because I just shoved it in there. Because why not? And it was awesome. Karn's a really good card.
Yeah, I bought one
Uh-huh.
for like $12 to play in Brawl, and now they're like 30. And I
This
wish I would've bought
conversation,
4.
your
Yeah,
take,
sorry.
Jake, leads me to believe that like you can go 4-1 with literally anything.
I just
And
want to
none
know
of your
how many
4-1s
slippery
mean anything
scoundrels you
anymore.
put in.
What?
I just want to know how many slippery scoundrels you put in, because I had an opponent who put in a slippery scoundrel and thought he was king of the world, and then I cast the shrivel.
With Golden Demise?
Yeah.
Well, did you see that? Did you see that like the Blue Skies deck, like all the unblockable
Oh, Kevin-
guys?
yeah,
Yes,
was trying to tell me.
Tempest to Shin, let's go!
I was like, Kevin, you know Aerial Elemental's not good right now, right? It
I
is-
showed that to
Throne
him.
of the God Pharaoh.
Yeah, it was at his
Please
house
and
when that
thank
deck was
you.
happening. And then the one that's like, if you play a historic spell, you can scry one. It's like a Judge's Familiar thing. It's like Artificer's Assistant.
Yeah,
That card's dope.
Kevin's just never drawn a 1-mana 2/2 on turn
I played Mono Blue
14.
Devotion.
He's just
I've
like
drawn
never.
a 0 mana, a 1 mana 0/1 on turn 14.
So why do you still want to play this deck?
Because it was good.
There's no Master of Waves or Thassa this time, though.
There's
Okay.
Tempest to Shin.
All right, Jake, what do we get
All
next?
right, yeah.
not.
Let's
And
move
favorable
on.
wins!
Guys, let's move on. So, all right. So if you want singles from this new Dominaria set, you should get them from the Bearded Dragon. The Bearded Dragon's got great deals and whatnot. We're going to talk about some singles now. We're going to
Yes.
trash your treasure some singles. The first one we're going to talk about here is
I thought we were doing our card picks.
we're gonna do our card picks.
Yeah.
No, we got a whole I
Okay.
picked cards for everybody, but if you
Yeah,
just...
that's
I'm gonna
not-
just do
no.
our card picks.
Card picks?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I named that segment "Hot Singles in Your Area," and Jake wouldn't read it out loud, and it makes me really mad.
Oh, that's
But
also
fine.
that's also our banner ad on the website.
I know, that's where I
like
got
the-
it from.
Yeah, it's a joke.
I'm
on the website.
incapable
It's
of
like-
cultivating my own jokes.
On the articles page, it's like hot singles in your area. Go to the sister page where we sell Magic cards.
All right. Well,
It's really funny.
try to not say it.
We all said it otherwise.
All right. Anyway,
So,
Brad,
All right,
what
so-
card are you most excited about from Dominaria?
so my pick is actually for modern, and it's the Antiquities Wars. This is 3 and a blue. It might be 2 blue, but it's a 4-mana blue saga, and the first and second modes are Ancient Stirrings, and the third mode makes every artifact you control into a 5/5. So you just like cast this out of Lantern, KCI, Affinity, artifact deck of your choice, and you just laugh at your opponent's Stony Silence and kill them. You don't even have to blow up their Stoning anymore. You're just like, yep, drew 2 cards and killed you.
This is the March of the Machines card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now the
Yeah,
card
that card's
is
cool.
right now the card is valued at $2. Yeah. What price do you think it will go up to?
I think that the foil will be the only one that really goes up because even all of those decks I just listed are like modern decks that will play 1 or 2 in the sideboard. So even if the card's absurd, I don't know how high the demand will really be.
Okay.
So if I was going to go deep on this card, I would go deep on foils because I expect it to be in Eternal decks. Maybe it goes in like a Tezzerator deck, or maybe you cast... I think it's too slow for Shops and Vintage. I don't think you're casting this off Tolarian Academy, but like this is definitely an Eternal card more than a Standard card, so buy foils if you're looking to go deep.
First of all, it's not Ancient Stirrings, the 1 and 2.
Isn't it?
It's
It's,
just
it's an artifact.
it's an artifact, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
it has to be an artifact.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
big
a lot- yeah,
difference.
okay.
It's like a big,
That is
big,
different.
big difference. All right. Anyway, but Kevin, your card.
So when Ixalan was released, my card was a 4-mana 3/3 flash flying creature.
Oh,
That
Siren
was
Stormtamer?
famously bad.
Whatever.
Dreamcaller Siren.
Yeah, that card's awful.
I was wrong about that one. Sorry, guys. There's another 4-mana 3/3 flash
Just
flyer,
picking it again.
and I'm picking it again. I'm doubling
so
down.
bad at this.
No, this card is actually good.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's like gonna
It
be
lets you
$1
cast
now and
like-
$1 in 3 months.
It lets you cast that weird Wrath
Well,
card
are you
at
saying
instant
for
speed.
play wise?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for play.
The
Yeah, it's gonna
Ruinous-
be in one deck now, and it's gonna
Or
be
is
no
this
decks in
Ruinous
3
Blast
months.
or whatever?
So the one thing I do like about this card is that it's a legend that has flash, so it turns on the legendary spells, some of which are really powerful.
Yeah.
It also gives
I
your
think-
Planeswalkers flash, which is kind of sweet.
Yeah, and that. So it's got some things going for it, but I'm not 100% sold on its being worth a slot.
I
It
agree with
sit-
that.
sits on top of Settle the Wreckage, and they both hide each other like perfectly, and you're able to play like an actual creature deck, so that when they don't walk into your Settle, instead of you just wasting your mana or having to cast Glimmer and fall further behind, you can just like play a 3/3 and eat their 2/2 that they attack
Yeah, but
with
like,
and play around Settle.
what if they attack before they expect you to settle, and they just like kill your 3/3? Like,
It's still fine. You just have like good cards in your deck. You
like
have your
I'm
fairies
going to
and stuff,
attack
too.
you with my Glint Sleeve Siphoner and my Snake. Oh, you're not going to give me 2 lands? Okay. I will cast Vraskic's Contempt on your 3/3. Or I will, like, throw my Ballista at you to kick my push and kill your 3/3. Thanks
I
for
think all-
shipping your turn.
No, I think all of those are actually like fine.
They're fine.
Yeah, those are
scenarios
fine
for the blue white deck.
exchanges.
Yeah. No, actually, like the more you talked about reasons why you don't like the card, the more.
No,
I was like,
I'm talking about the
"That's
reasons
not
why I
so
don't like that
bad."
card is black and settle.
He's like, oh, this card is really bad because when you
no,
play
no,
it, your
I'm saying it's
opponent will
not-
discard their hand and die.
I'm saying
I'm just like,
I'm
okay.
I'm saying it's not a good backup plan to settle. If you want a 4-mana flash 3/3, this card is very good. It has flying and it has some synergies.
Well, the
But if
settle
you're
is not
looking
your
for,
plan.
oh, I was only contesting that you're like it's a valid plan B to when you leave up settle.
Yeah,
and don't
because
need
the
to.
settle is actually the plan B. The plan A is like all your weird little legendary.
Okay, that's totally different than what you
synergies,
said. That's
and
fine.
like the settle is just super disguised by your
That's
legendary
fine.
creature plan.
So I was getting on board real fast, and then you use the adjectives to describe your deck as like weird and little to describe like a good strong portion of your deck. And
you have Merfolk Trickster is in this deck.
I'm not playing that card. That card's
fine.
heinous.
That card's fine.
That card's good.
In our control deck?
It's not a control deck.
And History of Benalia, it's like a flash deck.
Oh,
It's
this is
awesome.
literally just a deck he just watched a
It
streamer
is.
play 10
And
minutes
I
ago.
saw it this morning. The
Yeah.
first thing I saw when I woke up was that this deck 5-0'd, and I was like, this is great. I messaged Jerry T. I was like, yo, this is great. He's like, no, this deck is bad. I'm going to make fun of it. And then everybody else was like, no, this deck is bad. But then like 2 people who like flash decks messaged me like, yo, this deck is great. And I was like, yeah, I agree.
Okay,
That was it.
Gerard, Your card.
I'm just going to go with Karn. I know it's probably pretty obvious, but I played against Karn, and to see the power of Karn and what it could bring to Standard, I think is going to be excellent. So I do like Karn a lot. I think that Karn is able to go in many different decks. It could go into aggressive decks, and it could give you that extra boost where, if you're playing red, you're going to prefer Chandra over Karn. But if you're not playing red, your 4-mana Planeswalker, your 4-mana card advantage is probably not going to be there. So say, for example, if you're just playing like an aggressive green deck or aggressive black deck, Karn is the card that you want. Or if you're playing a blue-white control deck, Karn is also a card that you want. So I think that Karn is really going to define Standard.
I'm actually excited for this card for its like Kalendar synergies. Also, I think that there might be like a Maverick Thopterist, whatever the module, like that. There's like the fringe Thopters deck that's existed for a while, and like Karn has artifact synergies too.
Yep, it does.
This card is way better in those decks than it is in other decks. The thing about Karn that I really like is that it's just basically good in like everything.
Oh yeah, every deck wants to draw cards.
That's what I just said.
Awesome. It's like really, 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 really good in like Spire of Industry decks too.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just
I think
like,
in any deck that has artifacts in it, Karn is like
Absurd.
awesome. And I think in decks that don't, like, it's a worse version of Chandra, but some decks are still in the market for a worse version of Chandra.
I think
That
most decks are in the market for a worse version of Chandra. Chandra's absurd.
Yeah, this card goes to a lot of loyalty real fast too. Like it is like
Yeah, I know.
I had an opponent play it and then plus it, and I was like, there's like no prayer of attacking it to death.
When I
You
play
can
this
just
card,
get back.
when I play this card and I plus the card that they don't pick, I confidently place face up on top of Karn because there's no way it's going to the exile zone before I get it.
I mean, sometimes we don't want it, right?
No, I'm saying like there's no way they're killing the Karn.
They're going to play
Yeah,
Karn,
okay,
I'm going to flash in Baneslayer Angel. and
Yeah.
attack it.
All right, it'll go to 1.
Yeah,
still,
exactly.
still lived. Like,
Exactly. Problematic.
So, card I wanted to pick was History of Benalia. I think just on the front end, the fact that you get 2 2/2s for 3 mana is a pretty decent deal. The back end, like attacking for 8 potentially, just with the tokens it produced, potentially more if you're creating tokens in other ways, or if you're playing creatures that have the appropriate creature type. I think it's a really, really powerful card. I think that the fact that 2 2/2s don't come into play right away is bad in some ways, but also good in some ways. I think that it's a card that you can play when you're not trying to overcommit to the board, which is an odd thing to say because here it is. It's like a card that like puts multiple bodies on the table, but if you're like thinking your opponent's gonna, like play a Fumigate in the following turn, you can play a History of Benalia to make your board fumigatable, and then the next turn, like you automatically get that 2/2. You play more things that have like synergy with the third part of the saga, and then you just kill your opponent. I think it's a really powerful aggressive card, and I'm really excited to play with it.
You can like make 2 tokens, bury your history with Teferi, and then just make 2 tokens.
you could. There's a 5/0 list that actually 5/0'd with a bunch of bad cards in it, but it's playing like 3 of the Knights, like the White Knight Spiritual Successor, and Oath of Teferi to flicker History of Benalia, and then activate Teferi and Karn twice. There's like protection from black. White
Knight of Grace?
Yeah, it's
that
like
card's fine.
Dude, the 5/0 list is like 3 Knight of Grace, 4 Karn, 4 Teferi, 3 Oath of Teferi, 4 History of Benalia, and
saw
then like
that deck.
4 Disallow.
I do not like a lot of the cards in
Oh,
that deck.
yeah, no,
I really,
but,
really
like-
hate that deck's mana, but I think that the Knight you're not giving enough credit. I think
And it's first strike, bro.
yeah,
It's
I think
sick. You remember how good Knight of Glory was?
People underestimate just like White Knight. And
Knight
how
of
good that
Infamy
magic card-
was-
like I've done really, really well again with like White Knighty type cards. Gerard's seen me like at World Championships in the past playing like just like creatures that have protection from different colors like all together, and like I play one of them that my opponent can't deal with, and you just like win matches easily. Like sometimes just get them.
I thought this was going to be a joke about you getting in internet arguments a lot, but it didn't end up being that.
What?
This is a White Knight.
Oh, we're gonna
I'm
F6
just
that
about the
one.
magic card. White
Yeah,
Knight.
just the magic card,
It's a
Kevin.
good
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Good
F6 that one.
Okay.
Still Moon Cavalier, also a good card.
Yeah, that card
So-
is good.
Yeah, I think you played that. Didn't you play that at Worlds 2008? The Moon Cavalier, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Protection from white, protection from black, first strike, flying. You could pump it. Right.
Yeah.
Did everything.
It did everything.
Yeah.
And like there were so many people you'd play against that just
Yeah.
like you play it and their deck just did nothing.
Yeah,
From that point
it
forward.
was
Yeah,
extremely
fairies
good
could
against
never
fairies.
kill it. They
was
had to
extremely
sow
good
it.
against
They
fairies.
had to
Yeah.
sow
Insane
it.
against fairies.
Or like board in Infest when they had a bunch of Bitter Blossom tokens so that they could get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like it was so nuts against them.
Yeah, I mean my matchup against fairies was just like kind of nice in general because I also like.
Were you still the blue-white like?
No,
mid-range
I was
deck or
I was a
whatever?
red-white aggro deck
Oh, okay.
playing like a bunch of like creatures that had protection from like colors and just planeswalkers like Elspeth Nighterants and like Chandra's. Like Chandra Nalar.
Oh yeah, because White Knight got reprinted in a set, right? It was. What did it get reprinted in? It was actual White Knight was legal, right? I can't remember.
I don't think White
No,
Knight
I don't think it was
No,
White
there's
Knight.
a-
It was
reprint
printed in
one.
Legions, but that was a long time.
There's the
before that.
reprint one. There's like the
Yeah.
one with Exalted, and then there's the one
Yeah.
without Exalted.
Yeah.
There's Silver Knight. That was a
Yeah.
long time ago too.
All right. So what else we got, Jake?
So any standard cards do you think improve a lot?
Okay, that's
Um,
good.
I think Silvergill Adept was the first one on the list that we want to talk about.
It's a wizard.
Yeah, it's a wizard. Merfolk in general. Merfolk got a couple nice ones. Is the mana good enough?
I think
Do
the
we know?
secret to Merfolk, or the secret to Wizard's Lightning and Wizard's Retort is
Is to not play them.
Yeah, it's still not playing.
Why does everybody think I'm wrong all the time?
So, I think that they talked about it on Jerry's podcast, but it's just like the cards Lightning Bolt and Counterspell are good because they trade early. So when they base cost 3 or need at least a 2-drop to couple with them to turn them on, it's already too late. If it's turn 3, I don't care whether my Lightning Bolt costs 1 or 3. It's standard. I can just cast Lightning Strike.
These
I
cards
think
were,
that's an aggressive take.
these
too,
cards
though.
were made to be good though, right? Like they tested them. They have to be.
That's not how Magic
They have to
cards
be
work.
reduced
Have you
the
ever
right
seen
way,
Draft Chaff? That's not
Yeah,
how
but
Magic
Draft Chaff
cards
is
work.
intentionally bad.
Sure. Have you read some of these uncommons?
I don't know, man. I think that both Wizard's Retort and Wizard's Lightning are good.
Sure.
I think Wizard's Lightning is better than whatever the legal
All I know
Lightning
is
Strike.
All I know is that Draconic Roar and Silumgar's Scorn, these cards are not. That's
yeah.
what I know.
Yeah, Slumgar Scorn and
But those
Draconic
cards
Row was excellent.
didn't even
Yeah,
appear
they're
that good
good.
at first glance either.
No, but those cards were very good, and these
Yeah.
cards aren't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know that I
Slumgar
believe
Scorn
you yet.
was so good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, and
Absurd.
Draconic Row was the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both
Yeah,
good.
these cards
I
are
wrote
nearly.
the preview article for Draconic Roar.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, those cards.
I played Draconic
Yeah.
Roar like the second week it was legal to a States Top 4 without knowing what most of my cards did or playing well at all.
All right, so another card we want to talk about,
Card's
Anointed
absurd.
Procession.
Yeah,
We talked
good.
about History of Benalia.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Card that has potential to get a lot better. Card that I just kind of hate, which is funny because I was talking about History of Benalia and how I
Yeah.
played like a white tokeny deck. I did not play Anointed Procession. I feel like Anointed Procession is... I just hate cards that don't do anything.
Yeah, well,
You know, it's just a
the
really
turn
hard
you
thing for
play
me
it.
to bring myself to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're a kid and you got a bond for your birthday gift from your uncle. They're like, here's a $50 bond. You're like, wow, $50, I'm rich. And then your uncle's like, no, you can't cash it until you're 8, or you can't cash it until you're like 18 years old.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's 11 years from now. I'm only 7.
Yeah, and then
You know what I'm
when you're
saying?
18, it's like, wow, now it's worth $62. But at that point, like you've already been on the block for a while. You know, you get $62. Who cares?
It's way less candy than I thought it was.
So Anointed Procession. Well, that's not, that was good, but Jake, I'm I teach business and stuff. The way the bonds normally work is that it's $50, 18, like when you're 18, for example, but your uncle really only paid like $17 for it. So it doesn't even actually go to 62. It's only going to
man.
be 50, yeah.
I was just saying because like you like forgot about it. You like found it like after
Yeah.
college. You're like looking through some stuff.
So,
you know?
but overall, yeah, I agree with Jake. Anointed Procession is a powerful card, but it's like that analogy. The turn you cast it does nothing, and all of a sudden, what happens if your opponent like untaps, plays like a siege gang? They're in the play, and they're just like boom, boom, boom. You're like Anointed Procession. You're already kind of behind, and they follow up with the siege gang.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to have a
Yeah.
huge play. Maybe your play is siege gang, and all of a sudden you're getting that the extra
Yeah,
token or whatever. But
I don't think it's that good either.
I don't
I
think
just
it's that
thought
good,
it was a card that
Yeah.
had kind of fallen off lately, and it was worth.
I think
like,
it fell
seeing
off because
how it,
the
how it
other.
did.
I think it fell off because the other decks got better,
Yeah.
and it became less scary to deal with an extra 2/2.
It's still super scary in that token.
When your
yeah,
opponent
hidden
curves
stockpile
that-
is a good card.
Like it's still nuts
Yeah.
in hidden stockpile.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it is. It's
Start to
obviously- it's
finish,
still good in
like,
the
that
decks
card's
was good
insane
in.
with-
yeah.
with
Yeah.
Anointed
It might be
Procession.
good in some other new decks.
I've
too,
also
but-
I got crushed by that card into the cat. It just made 4
Sure.
2/2
Wait,
cats,
isn't there a
and I
card
was
that
like,
makes
oh, no.
4 1/1 saplings? Like
No, it's 3. It's 4 mana. Well,
it's 4 1/1.
Well, there's
that
two
one.
of them. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
There's one is a
The
4
kicked
mana.
one makes 4.
Yeah, yeah. There's a 4 mana instant. Put 3/1/1 saplings into play.
That's not insane with Anointed Procession? That's pretty insane with Anointed Procession.
Except that you have 2 4-drops that barely do anything on their own in your deck,
And
you're
block each
already
other
2
and they're
colors.
awkward, yeah.
yeah.
We're also like that was part of the. I think that Siege Gang kind of does that by itself.
Yeah, kind of.
You know, I think that's
You got like
the
3
thing.
shocks and 3 goons.
There
Yeah.
is an enchantment that says like sack 2 saplings, you gain 2 life and draw.
Well, oh wait, really quick before we go any further, you reminded me. The sapling fungus deck 5-0'd. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I do think it's real.
Yeah, and that Sapling Blood Artist is
Very
beast
good.
mode. That
Yes.
card is so good.
But is that
Those
like the
decks-
big dude who's like,
But my
No, that's
3
not
mana.
real.
slime
card-
foot, the stowaway?
Oh,
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
the card that I really like is that deck is now playing 4 copies of the Deranged Hermit, the 5 mana 2/2. During each player's upkeep, you're putting a
Oh,
sapling
yeah,
into
the
play.
blessed guy.
Tender
Oh
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah.
Tenderfoot Dryad.
Tender
Or
Shoot.
Tender Shoot Dryad.
Yeah, he's got City's Blessing.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that card's
actually-
sweet.
Yeah,
The most
Yeah.
unfair card in Limited ever.
yes,
but-
it's
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
exceedingly
first
limited.
card I picked out of that set in my first draft of that
Yeah.
set. I opened it up and I was like, well, I haven't read this one. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. So, all right, we're getting hyped up. We
Yeah,
got
yeah,
a
yeah.
couple more before.
Yeah, so the next
yeah.
card we're going to talk about has gotten so much better. The cards I'm most excited about from the new set are
Yeah.
Teferi and Karn. This next card, Heart of Kirin. What do you guys think about 4/4 flying vigilance cards for 2 mana? Do you guys like those?
Well,
It's good with Karn.
Yeah, it's good.
It also dodges the removal spell we've talked the most about today, Seal Away, because it has Vigilance.
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
think? I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna work on a colorless deck with Karn, Heart of Kiran. What other cards can we play?
A bunch of artifacts.
What other artifacts?
There's
are there?
like Chief of the Foundry,
Treasure Keeper,
right?
Scrap
Chief of the Foundry's
Trawler,
legal, right? 2/3, all your goons are 1 bigger.
Wait, what is
Walking
it?
Ballista,
It's like
Mox Amber.
3 mana 2/3, all your
Oh,
artifact
yes.
creatures are +1/+up.
Yeah, an artifact that could
Mox
be good.
Amber
I won't play
with-
that blue card. It took me
Oh
nowhere.
man,
Yeah.
Kevin, are you really trying to play Mox Amber?
Yeah, I think it's broken.
There's
Oh
one
my
format where Mox
God.
Amber is good, and it's Brawl in the Boral deck, where
What-
you just get to play Blue Mox.
But
The
also,
That's right. What's it called?
also Mox
What's
Amber.
the Blue Mox?
The blue Mox?
Mox Sapphire?
Yeah.
Oh. Also, I think that Mox Amber could be good in Modern. I know there was a deck that 5-0'd with.
I don't
I kept-
understand what just
I
happened.
kept coming up with Mox Jet, and I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I think Mox Hammer could be good. There was a deck that just 5-0'd. It played Dahlia. It played Kithkin.
Oh, Big Thalia is still legal?
Well, no, for Modern. This is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it played 2 mana Dahlia, 3 mana Dahlia. It played the 1 mana Gideon that flips into the Gideon.
Okay, Kithian. Yeah.
Yeah, Kithian. It played Isamaru.
Okay.
So you're able to play, a lot of really, powerful stuff on turn
yeah,
two.
so it's like a Mox Opal in that deck.
Yeah,
That's
basically,
sweet.
yeah.
I think
But at
Mox
the end of
Amber is really, really
At the end of
good.
the day, Mox Amber is still a legend. So
Yeah.
if you're not playing a card like Arcbound Ravager that's able to eat the Mox
Yeah.
Opal, what are you doing?
Mox
Yeah,
Amber
the
is...
deck was
Yeah.
just a spirit
You
guide.
can, like,
Yeah.
makeshift
Yeah,
Can't even
munitions.
cast.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
bad, yeah.
Mox Amber is definitely the worst Moxen we've ever seen. It's just like, does that make it bad or only okay?
I mean, it's legal in Standard. It's as a Mox. So you have to, like, actually do your due diligence and try to build with it, right?
Yeah, but like they printed it into Standard in the same set where you can just play Llanowar Elves, which is like a better Mox because it doesn't ask anything of you other than Forest.
Yep. Okay.
I
all
don't
right.
agree,
So
but that's okay.
All right, so
last one we got coming up.
yeah, last one we got coming
Okay.
up that I want to talk about because Kevin put Fatal Push on here, but obviously that card's just always good.
Yeah,
Fatal Push is good. Is your opponent casting
creatures?
creatures?
Yeah,
Okay,
Fatal Push
check.
is awesome. Okay, so we're going to talk about Nissa, Steward of Elements.
Okay, I think that
Is
this
the
green
X
blue
one?
the green blue one.
X
That's
card.
the, yeah,
Okay,
Planeswalker.
okay, well, Kevin
I like
is
a
the one to put it on
fireball.
it. What's the in 30
Why did I
seconds?
put it
Yeah,
on
why
there?
did you put it on?
I think it's interesting with Llanowar Elves. I think it's one of the really
Okay.
cool things
like
that
that
you
a
can
lot.
do with Llanowar Elves. So I just like it, and also there's like more payoffs for legendary permanents and like.
I also feel that it's very good with the Scryland. I
Oh,
think playing the
Zalfarian, yeah.
Scryland that comes into play untapped, and then seeing that your top card is something that you can cast off of.
If
the
it's like
Nissa
a
with the mana
land,
that you have.
you can just like do it for one and then put another land into play.
Yeah, like if you like know for sure how that flip is gonna go, the way Nissa plays is just drastically different. Like if it's like advancing your board state just by casting it, you
Oh,
know
yeah.
that's gonna happen.
Like when you
Like that's powerful. And like of course this is probably some like just blue green deck where like you're trying to stay trim. So
But
like
you-
it's gonna be a weird deck.
Wait,
I don't know
Just
what
put
it
like
looks
mono
but-
green Stompy and just play a couple Nissa as like reach.
Okay,
I like it out of
can you play
Merfolk,
like
too.
Can you play like a Bant, where like you're kind of ramping into Nissa and you're ramping into Teferi and Karn?
well, what?
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't
you
all the
wanna do
ramp
that.
cost 3 though.
Yeah, kind
Llanowar
of.
Elves cost 1.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that
thought he
might
meant
be-
spells because
Oh,
like I
okay.
kind of want to be casting Fumigate in my ramp deck.
I mean,
Okay.
Fumigate's good with Nissa.
That's fair.
So I want I think.
And you don't want Lionel Ralph in your Fumigate deck.
Yeah,
so.
the
Okay.
Dino ramp spell costs what? 2 if you have a Dino, and otherwise it's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spring to Mind is decent though. I play Spring to Mind.
to
in a
Mind
ramp
is good
deck.
with that.
Well, listen.
It's also just good in a ramp deck because it's like ramp now, cards later.
Yeah.
Before-
Ramp deck
Gift
flow
of
a lot,
Paradise
so it
is
makes
still
sense.
legal.
Yeah.
You can play like that, the enchantment that makes the worms.
Yeah. So before
Sandworm Convergence?
Before Jake goes to the final topic and wraps up the show, I just want to quickly say that, this is basically week 1 of Standard. What we're saying here is just our thoughts or what we've seen on 5.0s or, maybe the 5 to 15 matches of Standard that we all played individually. Things are going to change. Again, the best advice is to probably check out a lot of the articles, play as much as you can, and just keep your eye open to see, what decks are rising to the top. And that's basically it.
Yeah, like
So-
if you Dominaria cards, if you think a card in Dominaria is good, like give it a shot because a lot of them are really, really good.
I'll absolutely agree with that also. If you find a card that you think that we're overlooking or we're saying is bad that you think is good, you might be right. Like, this is week 1,
Yeah,
we
just
could be
jam
wrong.
it.
Yeah,
You
and
might also be staring at Wrath Capuchin Ship's Mage. Like I
Well,
am
that's
right
not
now.
fair because you already watched 3 people think it's good and play it, so that doesn't even count as your idea.
No, it's not my idea, but it's still the card that I'm getting behind.
Kevin's.
The last thing we wanted to talk about was the Team Trios tournament this weekend at the Bearded
Oh, yeah.
Dragon.
Yeah,
This
just a
is
quick
for
shout out.
3
Moxon.
Moxen.
And none of
Yeah.
them are the bad ones.
So I'm just going to give you guys a breakdown. It's this Friday here at the Bearded Dragon in Bernardsville, New Jersey. It's at 7 o'clock. You're going to have one of your players playing Standard, one of your players playing Modern, and the other one playing Legacy. This is going to be a tournament that's going to get capped out, so make sure you guys check out our Facebook page on the Bearded Dragon and follow us on Twitter. You guys could RSVP. You guys could also save $5 by doing that per player. And they're going to have a bounty. So the way it's going to work is that, well, first place is going to be a Mox Emerald, a Mox Jet, and a Mox Ruby. So each one of your teammates is going to be walking away with a Mox, which is like the iconic card that if you played Magic forever, or even if you're new to Magic, you heard of these, like the Moxes, the Power 9, that this is the cards that you want. And they're, if you don't want them, you can always just sell them back to the Bearded Dragon because they're valuable cards. They're very valuable. They're like $1,000
Also,
cards.
it's not like a lot of the team tournaments that aren't opens where you're just like, hey, like, all right, so we won. What is how we're divide the store credit by 3? How much do we each get or whatever? Now it's just like, no, you each just get a Mox.
Yeah, and the awesome thing is that Team
Like-
Passing Priority, Brad, Jake, and Kevin are going to be there.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is that when you guys get paired against them, if you beat them, if you beat their team, all right, what's going to happen is your entire team is going to get a box of Dominaria.
No, pack. I don't think it's a box.
No, it's a box of Dominaria. Your entire team is going to get a box of Dominaria.
Can we against ourselves?
To split.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's insane.
Can we just play ourselves
A
every
pack?
round? Like,
Brad's
What's
trying to
gonna
say a
happen
pack.
is
This is a
a lot
box
of-
of Dominaria.
A lot
Yeah,
of
so I mean, what I have to say to all of you is, bring it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bring it, yeah.
Come on, like
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
You gotta earn it.
Like you can come
Brad,
here and try
you
to
thought it
win a
was a
box
pack?
by beating
Yeah.
us, but you're
That was
not
like a
going
pack
to.
each.
No, it's a box.
We strongly
That's
encourage you to
absurd.
come and try to win.
You guys better not lose.
Moxen,
We're not going
win a
to.
Moxen
Yeah.
for each of you.
Yeah.
but we
You're
do.
not going to. We're gonna beat
Yeah,
you.
the last time Team Passing Priority played, Jake stayed home, and we were still able to get there. So
Yeah, the way it
this
works
time
is,
we have Jake.
and the tournament ended like at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
No,
did
it
it?
didn't.
No,
It
no.
ended at 1.
Look,
It's
it
very
ended-
easy.
Listen, the tournament runs super smooth. It starts at 7 o'clock.
We got to play 5
Make sure you
rounds.
guys are here on time.
Yeah.
And you guys could be out of here as quick as 12 o'clock. So
Yeah, it actually
it's 5
does run
hours
really
of
well.
playing Magic. You're walking away with the Mox and having fun. And you guys get to meet Jake Van Lunen. No one really cares about meeting Brad or Kevin, but
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We're
I'm just
also-
kidding,
we're
buddy.
You guys
also,
have not been nice to me today.
we're
This is
also
a rough day for me.
Signing whatever you want signed.
Yeah.
As long as it's.
So I think
Above
Jake's going to
board.
wrap it up. Next
Yeah.
week, I believe we're going to have a double giveaway
Oh,
to make
yeah.
up for this
Do we
week's
not have a
giveaway.
giveaway this week?
I think
yeah,
that-
there's
yeah.
no giveaway this week, but
because
next week there's
Jake's
like
got a secret. Are you
gigantic-
going to tell us, or are you going to wait for us next week?
I'm gonna wait
Secrets
till
next
next
week.
week to
All
tell
right.
you the secret.
Listen, but here's the deal. If you come
But-
to the Bearded Dragon game on Friday, okay, and if you play in the tournament, maybe Jake will give you a sneak peek of what the giveaway is going to be.
That's-
It's going to be awesome.
Actually, a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can confirm.
It's like
And
it's actually
the
a
other
possibility.
tip that I'm going to give to you guys out there
It's awesome.
is make sure you guys are rooting for the team passing priority here, because if they're not giving away the boxes of Dominaria to the players on Friday,
It's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah, what are they going to do with those potential
don't need
5
them.
boxes
We're
of
not allowed
Dominaria
to win
over
them,
the next
so-
couple
Yeah.
of weeks? So that's the deal. So Jake,
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, it was an excellent show. This
Yeah.
has been Passing Priority with Gerard Fabiano, Kevin Jones, and Brad Bonin. I'm Jacob Van Lunen. Hashtag high five. I don't know.
Hashtag Dominaria. Hashtag the bearded dragon.
Dominaria. Hashtag the bearded
Yeah.
dragon games NJ.
Yeah.
Signing off. We'll see you guys next